Well, we will find out, but Jim, another question on the topic of ratings. As we said, a lot of listeners have been sending in questions. This past week, Monday Night Raw, the overall show did 1.54 million viewers. The hourly breakdown was hour 1, 1.75 million was the average. Hour 2, 1.6. And hour 3, 1.26 million viewers, which is the lowest third hour in the history of the program. Or I guess, is it the lowest hour or third hour?
I think it's the lowest hour.
Lowest hour in the history of the program.
Yes. Remember I said 1.2 when AEW got 1.2 million. I was like, well, this is how far we've fallen. That you can, a national wrestling program gets 1 million. And now Raw has done it. And what was the main event there? What was the big thing that was going to hold the people all the way through the 3 hours of that somnambulism festival?
I'm not sure because I didn't watch it. Let me get the results right here. Here are the results.
Find the results because
Jim, here are the results for Raw this past week. The Usos wrestled Matt Riddle and Kevin Owens for the Tag Team Championship. Also, Asuka wrestled...
By the way, the Usos you see on television every week. Every week. FTR you see on television not at all. Just the difference in the two companies.
Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine actually just named, I think, their 100 best tag teams of the year. You know, like they do the PWI 500, now they do one for tag teams. They named the Usos over FTR, and that was part of the argument. FTR are unquestionably fantastic, but the way they're used matters. So for that reason, the Usos, who have good matches and have been involved with a main event program for at least a year, if not a couple of years now, that alone propels them above FTR in the eyes of PWI.
And also, I heard the Briscoes came in number 3, and Jay said, imagine if they'd let us on television. The third best tag team in the business is not even on TV. Anyway, the results from Raw.
Back to this. Asuka wrestled Rhea Ripley, the winner being Bayley. Also on the show, Austin Theory lost via disqualification to Mustafa Ali. Also on the show, the OC defeated Alpha Academy and Baron Corbin.
Don't they have that match every fucking week also?
And those are the only matches I've resolved. Those may be the only... How many matches were on this fucking show?
Here's the thing. Somebody's going to say, well, Cornette, you said they ought to take on Friday night, they ought to take 16 guys and do the same shit with the same guys every week. Yeah, on a 1-hour program, not a 3-hour program.
Found a couple more matches. Dominic Mysterio defeated Akira Tozawa. And finally, I believe this would be the main event, Alexa Bliss defeated Nikki Cross and Becky Lynch.
Oh, boy. So,
in an era where everyone thinks they're a star, there are very little actual stars.
And I will say Becky Lynch is one, but I will say Nikki Cross would have so little star power that she would cancel Becky Lynch out. It's like putting Mick Jagger on stage with Howie the mailroom guy. The second half of that double bill tends to fucking temper expectations. But I don't even know where you would Google this information, and I could dive into my goddamn file drawers, but I didn't know this was going to come up. But am I, again, mistaken? Am I somehow misremembering my Pepperidge Farm? In the glory days of Raw on the USA Network back in the late 90s, it wasn't a 3-hour program, it was a 2-hour program, but was there ever a period of time where the second hour did fewer viewers, or was it, didn't we always used to go up? I'm even questioning myself, but it seems to me that I remember the old Clash of Champions, it was a 2.5-hour program, and it peaked in viewers during the main event. I remember...
Well, it used to be a 3-hour show. Now it's a 3-hour tour.
Well, that's true. But no, in all honesty, as it's, you picked up viewers as you went along. And during the Attitude Era of where the Monday Night Wars, where they would switch back and forth, yes, there was ridiculous artificial fluctuation, but still within the context of start to finish, the main events on the program, the big happening at the end, the whatever, the shows generally grew instead of shrank. This is a sign that the people are willing to give the program a chance, but they just zone out because it's so long or so bland in the case of the WWE, or so just incomprehensible in case of the AEW shows, to where if you don't know that, if you don't have a destination person to watch in AEW, and once you see advertised what they're going to give you and kind of evaluate that, you're like, hey, I don't see how this is any good for either side. When it gets to the point where more people are listening to our podcast than watching a fucking primetime program on TBS, one of the TBS networks, I think they ought to be upset. And I think when it comes time that there's barely more people watching an hour of Raw on the USA Network that's been there for 30 fucking years than actually watches the big hotshot AEW programs, then I think they got to think, holy shit, we need to get some fucking stars.
Wrestling talk doesn't disappoint the way wrestling does. So wrestling talk will continue to rise, and shows like this will continue to see our numbers go up while wrestling goes down. It's just the way it's going to work going forward.